on the distance, but I just kind of go like that every once in a while and flip it over if it tends to get too thin. We start out with the ankles. Now when I say something is extra, it's usually because it's hard.
Okay.
And that means not everybody's going to want to do it, right? And we don't want to freak people out too much. We want them to come back and play with us. So we just work them slowly into some of the poses. Okay, so this is a really great quad stretch. I love it. There's two different ways, and I do a lot of work with the legs. I used to be like a pretty big athlete and bike rider and runner and all that, and then my legs got all screwed up from overusing them. So I'm still undoing a lot of that tension, and it just feels really good. So I focus on the hips and the hamstrings and the quads a lot. And this also opens up all the connection to the belly through the psoas, so it releases the lower back pain. Most people have lower back pain is because of their legs being too tight. Okay, so let's actually start out in our pigeon on the right side. Okay, keep the hips heavy for this one. Good. So I'm going to keep holding on with my right hand. Okay? I'm going to pull the knee in towards my chest and turn it over. And now I'm going to come into a quad stretch. Yeah, really nice. Now, keep holding on, because these are our anchors, right? So I usually keep people using the leg loops to stabilize themselves. Now, this might be a big hamstring stretch for somebody in the front, because we're focusing on the quad stretches right now. So you can bring the front knee into a pigeon pose as well. And that just changes things, right? Isn't that amazing?
We lift the hips up.
You can lift the hips up. That was great. Now, that makes it a little bit harder. This is a little bit easier.
Okay.
When you stack the bones, it'll be a bigger stretch for the quad. Very good. Okay, now from there, you can come into the full splits. They are very hard to do, but you can do it. Good. Full extension. Beautiful. So if somebody wants to, they can hang out in the splits. Okay, but you would have to get into the quad stretch first, into the pigeon pose. Good. So now let's come out of it. Pull the knee back into the chest. And then change sides. Really good. Good transition. And then extend. So it's easier transitioning from pigeon. Yeah. And people can get into it. Cool. And then from there, so we can move the elbow. Really good. That's totally intuitive, right? Yeah. So the hand gets tired, so we hook the elbow, and then you can try doing a full extension for splits. Good. Really nice. It's a little like thing on the back. Double job, yeah. So my knees don't particularly like doing the full extension, but I will do it sometimes for a show, but not often. Not often. So then we can come back out of it. If we're going to come back out of it, we're going to pull the knee into the chest. Oh yeah, let's do pigeon on this side, pardon me. Okay, and you just point the knee down towards the ground as much as possible. So you just play with, for me, I like this stretch too, because this whole band here starts to open up, and then if we stack, totally different pose. Really good. So we pull the knee back into the chest, keep it nice and safe, and just come through one bada to stretch the hips the other way. So we can have the chilaxin arms in bada, which is like a nice way to match, right? So both the elbows and the knees are flaring out. This is a good restorative pose. Does that feel nice? So it's like, floating, flying sensation. Okay, so let's come back through and open it up. So now what we're going to do is come through Supta Virasana. We're going to come through, so Supta means like reverse. Ardha means half. Okay, so we're going to come through Ardha Virasana first. And Virasana, so we're going to come to this one side, is when you have the knee directly in line with the hip, and then you can hold on and kind of lean back. This is the Supta part. The Supta part is leaning back. Okay. Good. So nice, isn't it? It's serious pull-out stretch. Yes. So keep pulling the knee towards the ground. Keep pulling the knee in. It'll want to flare out. Okay. Yes. Yes. There. Yeah, where it's harder. That place where we're avoiding. All right, now let's do second side. So come back through pigeon. Turn it over. Switch. Really good. Ardha Supta Virasana. You can really get low on this one. So you can bring me a minute to figure out which arm I am, and like just say it backwards. Okay, good. So from our quad stretch, we could go right into the Supta, Ardha Supta. Either staying high or lowering down. So if you lower down, you have to keep the knee pulling in. It'll want to flare out and pull it in. Yeah, it's just, it has a life of its own. Okay, so now we're going to do both sides. So from here, we hold on to the leg loops. So, yes, very gently flip the leg over, and then we lean back. So I cross the arms straight, pull the knees in. So that's nice.
Did you have the knees close together as possible?
Yes, as close as possible to protect the knees. Okay, so from this pose, we're going to pull up and then come right into Chilaxin.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Isn't that nice?
Oh, that's a good sequence.
Yeah. So nice transitions, especially if you have slippery pants on. If somebody has shorts on, somebody will come with shorts on. You know, it's Hawaii and everything too. They're going to not slip and slide. They're going to stick and like the gravel when it's all bumpy. You know, they're going to be like this, stuttering over it, but that's okay. So whenever we have the leg loops at the knees, it's called Chilaxin. Whenever we have it at the ankles, it's called floating Buddha. I'll just keep repeating the sequences so you get familiar with the names.
Chilaxin and then floating Buddha.
Yeah. So just think of like how peaceful, you know, the floating Buddha is. The Buddha pose, right? Floating Buddha. So in Chilaxin, the first thing we do is get our swagger on. So when we sway from side to side here, I call it swagger. When it's at the leg, when the leg loops are at the ankles, I call it windshield wipers. Right?
Yeah.
So that's just the same movement where we're pressing one knee down and then the other. Some people can't swagger. It's really fascinating. I try to teach them I'm like, just swing from side to side. They can't do it. So if you push one knee down and then the other knee down, we get some swag.
Flip the knee in the direction you're going.
Exactly. So that's how we create momentum. And then this is when we drop the hips a lot. So we keep the hips heavy so we stretch out the side body. Particularly this one line through the back of the body, it's called the quadratus. So quadratus or QL, quadratus lumborum. So I call it the QL a lot. So this part of the body gets really tight. And the more that we let the hips sink, the deeper we get stretch all through that band, that love handle band area there. Okay, good.
They just study more human than that.
Yeah. We'll just pick up some things here and then it will make sense when we do the next module. Yeah. Just a little bit. You know, just enough that when somebody comes in and they say they have back pain, you'll know it's that muscle. That's the culprit. And then in the front, the corresponding muscle is the psoas. Okay. So the psoas is the muscle that attaches from the inner thigh. It's called the intertrochanter. Up, this guy. Up through the groin and the hip flexors on the inside, kind of like traveling along the line where the colon is.
Okay. And
then it actually attaches through the belly into the back, into the top thoracic rib. So the T12. So it actually is the only muscle that transverses the body. Starts in the front and then attaches in the back. Well, there's other muscles that attach, but that one actually has like a big job because it attaches the inner trochanter, that's the thigh bone, to one of the vertebrae, to the lowest thoracic point. It's pretty trippy. So the spine has the lumbar, it's the sacrum, lumbar, thoracics. The cervical spine goes to C7, that's that big hub, and then T1 to T12 is the main part of the body that we're retraining with the swing when I say upper thoracics. So and that's all attaching through the psoas. So this one's really important for, excuse me, I'm just going to turn this down again. Don't mind me. There we go. Perfect. Okay, great. So from our swagger, I think I'm adding this in. Yeah, no, it's on here. Good. So floating pigeon again. So this is the easy breezy floating pigeon. So as we move the leg loops from the ankles closer to the hips, it gets easier. There's some poses we're going to come into what I call high diver, where we actually have the leg loops up high over the groin, because some people's hips aren't ready for the big poses. Okay, so in this pigeon pose, we're just chilling, right? I like to what I call wag your tail. So the bottom foot is just wagging, and that starts to, you'll feel it in the opposite hip, right? It'll start to stretch it open. Yeah, so we're just kind of using momentum to wag your tail. If arms fall asleep, just lean back, stretch them out. Maybe a little willow in the space. So foot to fly. And now to switch sides, we just use our momentum, right? So we release and hook second side. So the foot is kind of in front of the leg loop, and I just flex my foot back. So it's wrapping around, and that protects the knee. Now we drop the hips a lot. Now notice there's a tendency to push up, right? So in this one, we really drop, and then to take pressure off the arms, just open the heart. So if we want to go deeper into the stretch, if the arms are really bugging somebody, lean back. But if you can actually pull in, you can grab for both the leg loops and help the knee towards the chest. Just try it. We really feel a good stretch here. And we're not even doing much. The more that we just hang out and let it happen, you can add a little tail wagging here. Really fun. Now we're going to get a little bit bigger. So usually I go into freeze frame, but I'm going to start out with the side twist. So we're going to go diagonal. So right arm is going to reach for left leg loop. Then I release my left arm, and then I twist the side great. So I keep pulling the knee in, and I'm rotating the left ribs down to the floor. There it is. Good. Beautiful. Now, the one position is to look down towards the floor. The other position is just to rest ahead. Yeah. So that's nice. You still get the stretch.
Good. You try to pull my hips up.
Yeah, just the knee. Keep the hips low. That's how we get the tractioning. So we're using gravity to do the second point. The first reference, obviously, is the leg loop. The second reference is gravity. So if we push the hip up, we're not using gravity anymore. Really good. Okay, so second side, just swing it on over. Hook. Do the diagonal. Grab for the leg loop. Yep, you got it. So sometimes I'll have to say, open the arms wide, thread through. Left hand is grabbing for right, because people do get confused. It's okay. So keep the hips heavy, pull the knee in, and then turn those right ribs down towards the floor so you're getting the twist. Such an amazing stretch. Do you feel it? All through the outer glute and then into the thigh. Play with it a little, see what happens when you twist and turn in the space. There's so many variations that you can do here. It's incredible. I couldn't possibly even teach which one is the right way. All I can say is for my body, I like to get as much on the diagonal as I can. But I'm always expanding and extending that way to gain as much space. But it's also just as much of a good stretch to rest the head and pull in, and drop the hips, and just keep it super mellow and chill with the head supported. So
Yeah, that one I get feeling in the hips.
yeah, it feels really good, just to chill. So there's a lot of different variations in these twists. Okay, cool. So let's come back to neutral. Have a little bit of swagger. And then chillaxin. So the full chillaxin pose is incorporating the arms. Now we're going to get into our freeze frame, okay? So what I call it freeze frame is from swagger, we're just going to hold it. So we're going to stick. Elbows going to the left, legs extending to the right. There you go. You notice you have to kind of push the hip up to get there.